and welcome to Divinely Decked Tarot and Oracle Reviews done Stacey style. And today we are doing our sixth video from my lot box from eBay. And today we're exploring the Giotto Tarot. This is painted by Guido Zibordi. Very excited to be checking this out. And so for those of you who have been following me, there are other videos to see all of the different interesting decks that I got in this box for $100. And it's been kind of a really interesting experience. I want to say I've had some misses, but I've also had some really surprising hits. And I'm excited about that. So this is definitely a pack box experience. As you can see, I knew when I got it that they told me that the box was damaged and there was going to be tape on it. So I'm not overly, concerned about all of that. It is a low scarabeo. And of course we know, it's always quality with low scarabeo. But there's also, I want to say because these are older, there is a quality difference in the box itself. So it comes with I'm just trying to see. Yeah. Okay. It comes with like a title card, the Tarrochi di Giotto. And that was the thing that kind of drew me to this as well. Having this Tarrochi. Oh, I just realized I don't have any of my lights on. So let me just turn that on, shed a little light on the subject, right? So the Tarrochi di Giotto is one of the sort of first versions of tarot. It's a different tarot style, and I didn't have anything like that. So that kind of turned me onto this. And this is like a pamphlet style. It looks like it's all in English. So, and let's see, that is 2001. So this came about in this edition came about in 2001. So let's just see how I'm gonna like this. First things first, looking at the card back here. It's kind of an interesting mauvey purpley color, and it is reversible. It's the same image in all four of the quarters of the card, and it is bordered. We, of course, have a white border on it. It is that low scarabeo quality. It kind of feels like US Games sort of quality of the card. So let's just sort of take a peek. I have a feeling this is in order. Yes. Okay, great. So we are going to start with the Fool card. And the colors are not my thing. Usually I tend to be, like bright, bold colors. This is sort of an interesting mustard green that we have here, bordered by red and green. But I find that interesting. Root chakra and heart chakra related stuff. He, of course, has his little doggy companion. This guy has some like jingle bells on his satchel, on his hat. So I feel like he's kind of announcing himself, like if you're going all those places and you have jingle bells all over you, people are going to know you're coming. So I feel like there's almost this energy of like he's not afraid to announce his journey and announce his path. He's declaring it to the world. Everybody's going to know, that the journey has begun. Here we have, this is El Mago, Le Batelier, and this is, of course, the Magician. Based on, I want to say, sort of Rider-Waite, traditional Rider-Waite Smith tarot energy. He's in that sort of mauvey pinky cloak. He has the wand, the sword, the pentacle, and the cup. Not much else really going on, just a straight up tabletop, and he's chosen the wand to work with first. Often we see him outdoors in a garden. We're not seeing that in this depiction. Here is the High Priestess, La Papessa. And interesting, there are no columns here for her. She's got a little backdrop. She does have a book in her hand. She is wearing a crown that looks a little bit like a beehive. So that says to me sort of like that ancient energy of you're wearing the crown that helps to reach the heavens. You're reaching the heavens. You're receiving that information kind of on that higher level and that higher scope. And she is on a platform. She is a little bit higher up. So I feel like they're depicting that. Here we have the Empress card. And so she is not in a garden. She is on a throne. She is holding a crest. She's holding her scepter. She's got a crown on her head. She looks more like a queen. She looks more like royalty. And I suppose like the Empress is royalty, just in a different capacity. But I don't get from this the typical, abundance. And like if I didn't know the traditional tarot system, I would just assume that this is a queen, and I really wouldn't get much from this depiction. It's almost like I'm getting a feeling that like this card deck or this style of card deck almost feels Pip-like, that the background kind of remains the same, and you just have sort of a character in there. And so it's more archetypal that you do have to know the system. Here's the Emperor. So again, we see the Empress is, she was holding the crest. Her crest goes different. Her crest faces a different way than his crest, which is kind of interesting. He also has his particular saber. He is on a crown. His crown is, on a, he's got a crown on his head, but he's also sitting in his chair, his throne. That's the word I'm looking for. OMG. His throne is much more ornate than the Empress's. I find that really interesting. Hers is quite stoic and kind of boring. His is the one that is more ornate. His is the one that really kind of shows a little bit more of, I want to say, the chaos that nature can bring. So that's really interesting. I think so far, like, you need to know the system of tarot with this. I would not recommend a beginner use this deck because I'm not feeling a ton of, so far, a ton of like intuitive hit energy. Here's the Hierophant. So definitely very traditional, sitting on his throne. He's got, his monks that are not doing his bidding, but it's clear that they're involved in a ritual and they are supporting the Hierophant in what it is that he's doing. It looks like he's in some kind of blessing or benefication process there. Here we have the Lovers, and so it looks like there's perhaps a marriage of sorts that is taking place, or a connection of sorts that is taking place, in an introduction. Here we have the Chariot. So again, very traditional. Interesting that the horses are looking in two totally different directions here, kind of implying that maybe he hasn't been able to master or conquer, the will of these two opposite creatures to come together. He's got them attached to the chariot, but they're each wanting to go their own way. And so perhaps there's still a little more to work out for his journey. Not necessarily the victory that he was hoping for. Here we have the Justice card. So in this system, Justice comes before the Strength card. So it is 8 in this deck. And here we have her. She's holding the Scales of Justice, and she's holding a Sword of Truth in her hand. There is no rule of law or book of law here. And she is also on a very plain throne. Also with a crown, which is interesting. The Hermit. So a more traditional depiction of the Hermit. He's very nondescript, kind of an older gentleman wearing, brown cloak, blending into the background, holding a lantern that is not lit, and he has a staff. There is movement. He is walking. We can see that there's movement implied in the image. Here is the Wheel of Fortune, la ruota della fortuna. This is interesting. So you've got someone who's like prostrating. You've got someone who's upside down on the wheel, but they're both trying to make it work. They're both trying to turn the wheel, and there's a person sitting up top who's just kind of observing. Maybe they're trying to support him. But I feel almost a little bit of buffoonery here. It's like each of them is playing their part and playing their role, but none of them really knows what's going on. None of them, there's no cohesiveness here. So a lot of shift, a lot of change, a lot of chaos is what I see here. Here we have the Strength card. Okay, so more traditional, only it's a male figure in here instead of the female figure, and he's prying open the mouth of the lion. This does not look comfortable for the poor lion, so I feel like there's, maybe some control here, stepping out of your bounds, or overstepping your bounds here, being a bit inconsiderate, certainly not in a space of diplomacy here at all. The hanged man, the hanged one, pretty traditional. He's just kind of up on these two trunks, tree trunks, that have been designed specifically for this purpose. He doesn't look particularly in distress. He's just kind of hanging out and thinking. Here we have the death card. So that traditional skeleton. He's holding his scythe. He's clearly cut off some heads and some arms, some hands, I should say, and a foot here. So he's dissecting something. He's dismantling something. Temperance. Very traditional. The angel alchemizing. Putting a mixture of as above, so below. Interestingly enough, though, that's the only water that we see is from the jugs. There's no water in the foreground here. Here we have the devil. Liking the colors in this. The colors are a little more appealing to me, but you're seeing that they're talking back. They are chained. It looks like their hands are tied behind their backs, and they are talking. They're talking back to the devil. This one looks really angry. This one looks angry at this one, maybe for speaking. Shut up. You should just, just be quiet. He gets worse when you fight back. I feel like, and he's holding his wand, but he's holding it upside down. So he's not ready to, create a spell here or anything. But he definitely is enjoying his role. He's enjoying his power here. The tower. Okay, so they didn't have very far to fall. One's about to land on their head. That's unfortunate. It almost looks like maybe they're going a little lower, like there could be something here, like a pit or something. It almost looks like they're falling from the pit. This guy's already kind of like, he's midair, but he's not midair. He's like really close to the ground, so he's about to fall. But what's really interesting is the tower looks small, so the fall isn't as big. It doesn't feel as dire. It feels a little more like they made a mistake, or they overestimated, underestimated, or overestimated something. The stars. And so this is interesting. I saw this in another video that I did with a different deck from this same lot, that they don't call it the star card. They call it the stars. And so we have this gentleman or this lady. Actually, it's a lady. Sorry, I'm just noticing the cleavage. I don't know how I missed that before. So we're noticing this lady, and of course she is alchemizing as well in her own way. She's got both feet on land, but she's leaning over the water, and there are all of these stars in the sky. So here we have the moon, La Luna. So no person in this. We do have the two buildings that are leading to perhaps a new path. We have the sun and the moon, the light coming off of that. We have the dog, and I don't know what animal this is, maybe a lamb or a llama or something. And then we have the crab coming out of a pool of water. So kind of a man-made or contained water, contained emotion. It's kind of interesting. Here's the sun. And here we have two individuals that are having a conversation. Judgment. So again, a little bit traditional. They're coming out of their coffins. They're looking pretty thin. The angel is heralding them into a new life and a new opportunity if they so choose it. And it looks like they're saying yes to it. The world card, very traditional. Again, we have the different animals representing sort of the four elements, the four corners. We have angelic figures here. We've got the human with the ribbon cloth around her. She's holding a tiny baton, and the Ouroboros is occurring here. Yeah, this is not, I'm going to say this deck is not speaking to me. Here we have the One of Wands or the Ace of Wands. Looks pretty phallic to me. There's no way that I'm going to be able to work with these cards and not see that as being phallic, but that's just my dirty mind. Yes. This makes me think of like Flintstones, right? Flintstones and these phallic wands. These wands are ginormous. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know that this necessarily puts me in mind of direction, choosing a direction, but he's got a bird on his head, so he's listening to some spirit energy, and this guy or girl or whoever is kind of holding a purse, a bag full of money. But he's got the tree of wisdom below him. So they're both acting on their own wisdom. You know, they're just getting it from different sources. Here's the Three of Wands. It's usually a card of expansion. Feels here a little more like collaboration. Here we have the Four of Wands. It's usually a card of rest, but again, we're having a lot of people and they look unhappy. It almost makes me feel like the wands are more like swords at this point. Five of Wands. Yeah, definitely a little more. Well, there's some chatting, coming together. It feels like a family sort of coming together, maybe after church or getting some kind of blessing that's going on. Six of Wands. So this is usually a card of victory. I suppose we could see that. Everybody's sort of, clamoring around. Congratulations. There's a cornucopia here. Seven of Wands energy. I'm just going to move through some of these. This is definitely not my jam. It's different. It's presenting different information than, I want to say, the typical structure. So that part is good. That I have to look at the card and just focus on the image to get me the information. But the images are also just kind of like not my fave, not my jam. So not fully engaging with this. Here's the Nine of Wands. Hi, Neil. 10 of Wands. Yeah, I feel like a lot of the wands feels more like swords. The Knave of Wands, so the knave is the page. He's got a heart, holding his heart. That's kind of interesting. Here we have the Knight. Okay, make a better door than a window. Queen. Again, this just looks phallic to me. Oh, maybe that's just my dirty mind. Here we have the King of Wands, and there's a heart on his wand, on the end of his wand. Oh boy. There's all sorts of interesting places I could go there. Here's the Ace of Swords, Sword of Truth. There's some death going on here. There's a scroll. That makes sense. Communication. There's a bird. There's a boat. A boat with no water. That's kind of interesting. Two of Swords. Definitely there's a conflict here. Three of Swords. It doesn't really look like heartbreak, but definitely looks like, okay, there's a crisis. They're going to have to figure something out. Four of Swords. So normally this is support and rest, a truce. Maybe they're breaking up a fight. Five of Swords energy here. So typically conflict. I don't know that they necessarily look like they're in conflict as much as they're in conflict resolution. This person does look sad, though. Definitely look sad, frustrated. Six of Swords. So support and grace. Moving on to calmer shores. Feels like there's a plan that's being hatched here. Seven of Swords. So that integrity, strategy, formulating a new plan. There's definitely fighting going on here. Somebody has been injured. Eight of Swords. So this is always that entrapment card, self-imposed infliction, but also on the other side, liberation. It's interesting. There are a couple of people wearing masks. Half the people are wearing masks, half are not. So there's definitely conflict here that's occurring. Nine of Swords. So definitely anxiety ridden. Interesting that there are so many people a part of it though. Normally this is like the dream state and they're doing something. They're trying to drown somebody. God, that's awful. Yeesh. Okay, Ten of Swords. So the complete and utter downfall, the ruin, the complete death of something. You have these demons, the devil and his demons coming into the mix. A lot of heartbreak there. Knave of Swords, so Page of Swords energy here. Oh, I don't like that he's skewered a fish and he's got a snake coming out of his mouth, so he's not trustworthy. Here we have the Knight of Swords. Now he's breaking things. He's breaking things up as he goes. He's being a bit impulsive, not paying attention to where he's going and what he's doing. Queen of Swords. King of Swords. Interesting. He can't see. He's a bit blindfolded. Chalices. Ace of Chalices. Interesting that there's no water. It's just a baptismal urn. Two of Chalices. Two people putting some work together. A couple working together. Three of Chalices. So this is normally celebration and enjoying each other's company. This person looks just downright pissed. They're having a disagreement and there's a person stuck in the middle. Feels more like a Three of Pentacles energy. Here we have the Four of Chalices. So delay, here we have, disappointment. Something's getting knocked over. They're paying attention to the wrong things. Five of Chalices. This is typically a card of grief and loss. There's a naked person and everybody else is clothed. Maybe there's a baptism that's happening. Six of Chalices. So connecting to the past, I don't feel much of anything going on in the past here. One woman surrounded by five men. She looks happy. She's content. She's naked and everyone else is clothed around her. That's just disturbing to me. Seven of Chalices here. Illusion and delusions, dreams and illusions. Eight of Chalices. Letting go, walking away. Wow, there's just a lot of people in that one tiny space. No one looks like they're trying to get out though. Just looks uncomfortable. So does this. Nine of Chalices. This is that, like wishes fulfilled. I don't know. I mean, they got a lot of cups. There's a lot of abundance here. But no one looks particularly happy, except maybe for her. She looks pretty content. Ten of Cups. Okay, so you've got a couple kissing. There's a union here. That ideal outcome. So the Page of Chalices. Knight of Chalices. He's stoking the fire. That's interesting. Queen of Chalices. Oh, she's got a big dolphin in her cup. That's cool. And she's got a little dog companion with her. She's got some keys around her waist. King of Chalices here. Interesting. He has to hold the cup because the pillar is the stand is broken. One of Pentacles. So planting a seed. This makes sense. Two of Pentacles, that balance and resources. Looks like maybe they're having a discussion around what they can have, what they can afford, and what they can't afford. Three of Pentacles. This looks like, disagreement, not being able to come together in harmonious collab. Four of Pentacles. This feels more like a Four of Wands energy to me. Five of Pentacles. Six. Seven. Eight. Interesting. This is the Virgo card. It's the mastery card. A lot of work. Or again, so many people. It's like these images just sort of crowd everything up. So it's really hard to understand exactly what's happening. A couple people maybe are waiting to get on the boat, or they've just gotten off the boat. They're relieved. They look like they're getting ready to send a little message in a tiny little boat here. They're looking up at these two individuals who look like they're happy to be where they're at, happy to have arrived. Maybe it's the fruition of their work, you know, the harvest that's come in. Here we have the Nine of Pentacles. This is typically a card of gratitude. He is holding his heart and looking up at the sky. Perhaps there is a miracle that has been occurring. Ten of Pentacles. Knave of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles. And King of Pentacles. All right, so I would say, given all the different sort of decks that came from this box, this is kind of a, I would say, like maybe good to have as a collector's item, or like to have this style of tarot in my collection. But I don't know that I'm necessarily going to be using this. Actually, I can tell you right now, I will not be using this deck unless it's for something, you know, sort of really random on the channel. So I would say glad to have it in my collection, but not necessarily something that I'm going to use. So in true Stacey style, I'm just pulling a card here for anyone who is drawn to this deck. This is how this deck is going to work with you. We have the wheel. Okay, I love it. So what did I pick up on with this wheel card? I felt like none of them were really working together in harmony or in concert. There was a lot of sort of that chaos and a little bit of buffoonery. You know, this one guy's upside down, this one's right side up. These two are looking ahead. These two are, well, this guy's looking down. This guy's kind of looking up at this guy, but almost looking up at nothing and nowhere. I feel like this particular card deck is going to maybe leave more questions than answers. This card deck, I feel, also is going to not force, but for lack of better words, force the user, the reader, to dive into their own interpretation, to use it as a tool to bring out a different aspect of the situation that they're asking about, and to really focus on trying to bring order to chaos. I feel like that's how this deck is going to work with them. All right, guys. So that is our Giotto Tarot. I hope you enjoyed the video here. And, you know, sometimes what works for me doesn't work for you, and what works for you doesn't work for me. Would love to hear in your comments how you felt about this tarot deck. Is this something that you would really enjoy working with? Something that you would be happy to have in your collection? Would love to have that conversation. And until our next video and our next segment, I hope you have the most amazing time, and we will see you on the flip side. Transform well. That's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It was great to connect with you guys. Please like, subscribe, and comment for more content like this. And feel free to follow me on Blue Sky for even more content every single day. Can't wait to see you guys next week for another installment of Black Feather Couture, Divining the VIP Life.